In the sun-drenched town of Mombasa, where red earth kissed the sky and Lake Nairi shimmered like a gem, a man of immense wealth lived quietly with a secret ache in his heart. Kweku Afolabi, the billionaire whose name echoed in glass towers from Cape Town to Casablanca, stood alone on his villa's balcony, watching the sun set with weary eyes. Though he owned fleets of cars and mansions in every major city, Kweku's heart longed for something deeper, something untouched by fame or fortune. He never forgot where he came from, a dusty roadside stall, where his mother sold roasted plantains with quiet pride, the scent of smoke in banana leaves, the rough laughter of market women. Those memories clung to Kweku more dearly than any business deal. In the bustling city, Kweku was a titan, but in his heart, he remained the son of a plantain seller, yearning for love that wasn't blinded by gold. That love had a name, Amara, a gentle, spirited schoolteacher from the quiet village of Enkere. They met during a literacy campaign. He was K, then just K, a simple man from Nairobi, passionate about education. He never revealed his fortune, and she never asked. Their bond grew over books, roasted maize, and moonlit conversations. Over time, their love blossomed like the jacaranda trees after the first rains. Beautiful, sudden, and all-consuming. But Kweku's heart held one fear. What if she only loved K, and not the man behind the mask? Would she still love him if the suits turned to rags? If the cars vanished? If all that remained was the man with bare feet and a hopeful heart? He knew he had to find out, not with words, but with truth, raw and unpolished. That was when the idea took root in his mind, an idea so wild it could break hearts or prove the purity of love. He would become poor, homeless, a wanderer, and he would return to Enkere, this time, without anything but the truth. His luxury life faded into the background. The man who once flew private jets now rode in the back of a dusty lorry. Enkere hadn't changed. The same laughter, the same calm rhythm. But this time he was just another stranger by the river. He watched her from afar. The same smile, the same glow. But would she look at him the same way? He began to write again. Not in business journals, but in tattered notebooks, chronicling each day as a test of truth. And so began the journey, not of a billionaire, but of a man stripped of everything but love. Kweku knew he couldn't do this alone. So he turned to the one man who had been by his side through triumph and trials, Musa. Seated in the quiet of his garden, Kweku spoke with heavy resolve. Let me live as a poor man in Enkere. I'll become a ragged suitor. If she accepts me then, I'll know it's true. His voice trembled, not from fear, but hope. Musa, loyal yet cautious, rubbed his chin. Love built on lies, even for good reasons, can crumble like termite-ridden wood. I know, Kweku replied, looking up at the moonlit sky. But I need to see her heart when the mask is off. And so, with Musa's help, the transformation began. Grandness stripped away, dignity worn raw. Kweku shed his silk for scratchy cotton, his tailored trousers for ones frayed and patched. The billionaire became a wanderer. His beard grew wild, his once-groomed hair curled in disarray. He no longer looked like the man who dined with ministers. He sold his phone, gave away his gold wristwatch, and emptied his wallet. No ties to his former life remained. Now he walked with dust on his feet and silence in his pocket. The world no longer bowed at his presence. His home became the back of a rusted, abandoned truck parked near the Enkere River, where frogs sang lullabies at night. His bed was a tattered mat, his roof a leaky tarpaulin. Yet each sunrise brought him closer to his truth. The villagers eyed him with suspicion. A stranger in rags was often a threat, or worse, a burden. To them, he was a beggar of sorts, another drifter with nothing to offer but a shadow and a story. But he never asked for food, never complained. He simply watched, listened, and waited for her. He remembered Amara's laughter, her kindness, the warmth in her voice. Would she still offer it to someone with nothing? The first test had begun, not of wealth but of worth, not of power but of presence. Musa watched from afar, always nearby, yet never interfering. This was Kweku's journey to walk alone. Each day brought new doubt, but Kweku reminded himself, if love is true, it needs no crown. And so the ragged suitor waited, not to be chosen, but to be seen. Amara first noticed him near the school, beneath the old fig tree that had witnessed countless lessons and laughter. He didn't speak. He didn't beg. He simply watched the children run barefoot through the dust, a silent smile hidden behind his beard. Sometimes, he would tear his bread in half and pass it quietly to a hungry child without ever asking their name. But kindness in rags often drew suspicion in the village of Ankare. That man is a thief, hissed Mama and Jerry, clutching her tomatoes like gold. I heard he sleeps under the old bridge, another muttered. Fear spreads faster than truth. But Amara saw something different, a quiet dignity, a worn soul, not a dangerous one. On the third day, she made her decision, not from pity, but from instinct. She walked toward him with sweetbread in hand. He looked up as her shadow fell across his notebook. His eyes, startled but soft, met hers. You're giving this to me? He asked, like no one had offered him kindness in years. Yes, she smiled gently. No one should go hungry in Ankare. He nodded, as if weighing the moment in his soul. Thank you. My name is Kay. She froze. That name. It wasn't uncommon, but something in his voice shook her. This man looked nothing like the Kay she knew, yet something deep within her whispered otherwise. You remind me of someone, she said softly. I get that a lot, he replied with a sly, almost broken smile. Over the days that followed, Amara kept returning, always with a parcel of food, always with questions she didn't know she needed to ask. They talked for hours, their words weaving through the warm Ankare air like music that only they could hear. He never gave her too much, just pieces of riddles, fragments of a past too carefully hidden. But he listened to her like her words were sacred, like her every thought quenched a thirst he had long buried. One evening, as fireflies rose like tiny stars from the grass, she turned to him with a question held back too long. What did you do before this life? She asked, eyes searching his. He looked at the sky, then back at her. I used to chase things, he said, but now, I'm chasing truth. She had known men with money, men with charm, but none had made her feel as deeply seen, as fully human, as this broken stranger. Though Amara's kindness blossomed each day, the winds of gossip stirred in Ankare. Whispers swirled like dust in the alleyways, and curious eyes lingered longer than they should. One evening, as dusk painted the sky with gold and indigo, a group of men stepped into Amara's path. Their faces bore the weight of concern, but also judgment. Sister, said Kwame, the village tailor, folding his arms. You're a jewel of Ankare. Why waste kindness on a man who sleeps in rags? He's decent, she said without hesitation. He's done nothing wrong. Her voice didn't tremble. She had looked into his eyes and seen something honest there, something rare. But poverty breeds desperation, snapped Mama and Jerry, stepping from her veranda. Her eyes were sharp as thorns, her words even sharper. The warnings echoed in Amara's mind. They rang like old bells, loud, familiar, and sometimes wrong. Still, she walked on, her back straight, heart steady. She had once known men in fine suits who lied better than any drunkard, and yet they were welcomed, trusted, worshipped. Her heart refused to harden. Amara didn't need the village to understand her heart. It beat for truth, not appearances. And sometimes, truth came in tattered clothes. It began with a scream, sharp, piercing. Then came the glow. A house near the village square had caught fire. Flames danced wildly, licking the night sky. The air filled with cries and confusion. Mothers clutched their children. Men shouted but stood still, helpless in the face of fire. From the heart of the chaos came a desperate voice, Mama Kosi, shrieking for her son. Kato, my child is inside. While others froze, he moved. Kay, the quiet stranger in rags, sprinted toward the fire without a word. He vanished through the smoke. Time seemed to still. Then, he emerged, coughing, eyes red, arms wrapped around a coughing, frightened child. No one spoke. The fire crackled. The hero they had ignored stood before them, broken and brave. The next morning, the village chief called for Kay. He came humbly, eyes low. The chief offered him a blanket, food, and money. "Thank you," Kay said softly, bowing low, "but I cannot accept what I have not earned." It was not heroism he sought. It was peace.